All right, hey everybody, thank you for joining today. My name is Will Hankey. My company is called Red Canoe Media. Very, very happy to have you on today. Excited to share some things with you. We're going to go through your COVID-19 action plan, hopefully give you some ideas, some different things that maybe you can implement. Obviously, not everything is going to resonate for everybody, but I totally hope that there are some tips in here that you can use to your advantage and to get more clients, get more leads, and assure the clients that are out there that maybe want to engage with your business that everything's going to be okay. So today we're going to cover a couple different things, and I will go through each of those in a little bit more depth. But I think it's fair to say there are tough times ahead. We're just kind of getting into this. If you are following the situation, we are trying to flatten the curve, and we are definitely still on the uphill side of this. So some tough times ahead. Obviously, many businesses have had to close their doors or temporarily shut down. So, there's that going on. The good news is customers are still needing your services. In a lot of cases, they're sitting at home, looking out the window, like Peggy said, at this gloomy world that's out there today. But, they're sitting at home. And if you're in home services, maybe they're thinking about doing some remodeling. If you're selling something, it's very likely that they're online looking, shopping, doing things like that. People are isolated in their homes. They're going to be doing things like deferred maintenance, looking at the curtains and fixing the blinds. My wife has already said 3 times in the past 3 days, mentioned the fact that Home Depot is still open and it's right down the road, and our room needs to be painted. So, I think this is pretty common. People are still going to need our services, and not just home services, but any services. And people are starting to think about these different things in different ways, and it's a little bit crazy. So a couple of days ago, I sent this out to a specific group called, of window treatment companies, but it really goes for anyone. But I said, I've got this crazy hypothesis. I think that leads over the next 4 to 6 weeks are going to increase. And, they replied back, oh yeah, that's exactly what we're hoping for. And I think this goes across most all industries. And, if nothing else, there's going to be this big pent up demand that at some point is going to, the flood walls are going to open, and people are going to be out spending and going to restaurants. And, my wife, she was saying last night, yeah, once this is over and hits, we're going to be eating out for 3 weeks straight. I certainly hope that's not true. I can't afford to do that, but I get the point. People they're already starting to go stir crazy, and we're only a couple days into this thing. So lots of opportunity. At the same time, record social media consumption. The numbers are through the roof on how many people are actively jumping on social media right now. It is just crazy, insane, and it makes sense. If most people are working from home that are able to work from home, maybe when they're at work, they're not allowed to check their phones. But when they're at home, nobody's standing over the top of them, and they are able to check their phone more often. My wife is working from home. I just went in there and she was working from home. I'm going to put this in air quotes, working from home while shopping Amazon for upcoming birthdays. So, lots of people are doing lots of things, and social media is probably winning when it comes to, I guess we could call it consumption, right? Whatever we want to call it. Lots of people are out there looking at things, seeing what everybody else is doing, shopping, doing, planning, a lot of things going on. So the one of 2 reasons why people maybe if they're out looking for your services or they're looking at your website, there's probably a couple different reasons. that why you're not going to get the call. And number one is they don't think you're open, which may be the case, but there are some ways around that where they can maybe not think you're open, but you can still get the lead. And secondly, they're concerned that it's not safe. So we're going to talk about some of that, especially around if you have to do a physical visit, whether they come to you or you go to them. Obviously, there are some things there that people are really starting to take a step back on. So I'm going to talk about a couple different things today, and those are these 5 main areas. So generating leads, your customer assurance campaign or program, handling sales. If you need to go into the client's home or if they need to come to you, how can you handle that? This one in particular may not be 100% relevant to physically today, but in the next couple of weeks, as the hopefully things begin getting a little bit more lenient, things get a little bit more back to normal, some of these things you might still want to implement. So definitely worth paying attention there. Obviously getting paid, got some really good ideas on different ways to get paid. And a lot of business owners are stuck right now with projects that are half done and they can't, install them, or they can't finish up the project for whatever reason. So we're going to go through a lot of those. And then I'm going to talk about the marketing opportunity that is out there right now. And I'm going to give you a ton of resources. So stick around and let's get through this. So first of all, generating leads. Now, there's a lot of different ways that you can do it, but the most important thing and the first thing that you need to do is make sure that you have your tracking set up. And by tracking, I mean your Google Analytics at an absolute minimum. Here's the reason. If you are at home and you've got some time to work on your website, you need to know what your baseline is. You need to know where you're at now so that as you log in and start making some of these changes, you can see their positive and or negative impact on the page and the rankings and things like that. If you don't have that tracking in place, you don't know exactly what those numbers are. So you don't know if what you did helped or not, right? There is one thing that I'll say while I'm on this. A lot of business owners think that this is a good time to log in and just change up the text on a couple pages. And I'll talk a little bit more about content here in a little bit, but that's not what we need to do. We don't need to just log in and change a couple things. You need to have a plan in place. And that all starts really with your analytics, your tracking. And by the way, there are other analytics programs out there. Google Analytics is probably just the most well-known and the most popular, and it's free, right? So that's a good start. Secondly, the other thing that a lot of business owners miss is, and it's what I call a leak on your website, is a call tracking phone number. This is a special phone number that only goes on your website, doesn't go anywhere else, forwards to your regular line. But every time somebody calls that number, you know that the website generated that lead for you. The website was the source for that particular lead to pick up the phone and call you. These systems, we use CallRail, CallRail.com, CallRail. CallRail does some really cool things. You can record the calls, which is fantastic for sales training. It's also fantastic for getting content ideas for blogs. If you start listening back to calls that come in, listen to what people are asking. What are they asking over and over? If you hear something asked 2 or 3 or 5 times, you know that that's probably something that they didn't see on your website, and therefore they had to ask the question. So maybe you can preempt that, shorten your phone calls, and just provide that information to other people who maybe didn't pick up the phone but are probably thinking the same thing, right? So definitely worth looking into call tracking. It's a huge leak on a website. For most businesses, you put the same phone number everywhere. You put it on your website, you put it on your business cards, you put it on your flyers, you put it on the billboard and the TV commercials and everywhere that you're putting stuff. So very important to get a special phone number specifically for your site so you can start to track that particular thing. The great thing about digital marketing is everything is trackable. So no matter what you do online, you can see the data and the results of what that did or what that didn't do. So definitely encourage you to get your tracking in place. There's a quote that I like, half of my advertising is working great. I just don't know which half. You know, that's a great quote. Not so much relevant these days because you can get that data and know exactly what is working and what is not working. So I do want to mention that everything I'm talking about today is available at redcanoemedia.com/COVID, COVID. So I am putting links up there to everything in this webinar. So if you have something you need to go back, review a little bit later on, that would be a good place to start. If you don't find it there, let me know and I'll make sure to get it up there. So that's redcanoemedia.com/COVID. So, all right, pay-per-click. So pay-per-click is exactly what it sounds like. You put up an ad, you pay every time somebody clicks on that ad. Whether they do anything on your site, whether they engage with your business, or they just look around and go away, both of those scenarios still cost you money. So pay-per-click is the best, quickest way to get into Google and to get listed. It is an auction type system. So the more you pay, the higher up your ad is going to show. There are a lot of caveats to that, I guess you could say. It's not always the person that pays the most that gets the #1 spot, because Google also looks at other things such as ad quality, how many people are clicking, your ad copy, things like that. So it's definitely not just pay the most, get in the top spot, and the phone starts ringing. But there are definitely some advantages to pay-per-click, especially in a short-term situation where you just need leads. Obviously, you need to have a budget to do that, but it is possible to do something like that. The other thing with pay-per-click is you need to be logging into the system. In this case, typically AdWords, or you could do Facebook ads, but you need to be logging into these systems often, once a day, more than once a day, and checking your ads and making sure that they are converting, make sure that people are clicking on them. We typically build 6 to 10 different variations of an ad and let them run for a short time, and then we can look at them and see, okay, which ones are people engaging with, which ones are people ignoring. We turn those off, and then we take the good ones and we try to make them better. So it's a constant testing world. It's not something you can just toss some money at, toss some ads up there and expect the phone to ring. But again, a good short-term solution. Here at Red Canoe Media, we look at pay-per-click more along the lines of a supplement to a good organic SEO campaign, where you're ranking well in the organic rankings, in the maps, and then you can also have these ads on the site so you can get more chances of eyeballs on your brand. So next is pay-per-click maps. So there is something fairly new, and I want to say within the last year and a half, where you can actually put an ad into the 3-pack or the map area. So if you type in something such as forklifts St. Louis, I know Kevin's on the call, so if you type that in, you're probably going to get a list of 3 businesses that Google thinks handle that particular service or product, and that's called the 3-pack. It's three businesses. Typically, there's a map right above it, and there's a lot of things that go into that: proximity, how optimized their Google My Business profile is, things like that. But there is a way to actually insert an ad into that map area as well. If you're already listed in that area, then you could actually show up twice. So you could be 2 out of the 4 spots, which is fantastic. Pretty good scenario versus, a 33% chance with just the 3-pack there. But you can actually get it specifically into the maps area. It's not terribly expensive to do that. The other really nice thing about advertising specifically in the maps area is the amount of mobile traffic that goes to those 3 listings is crazy big. A lot of people on mobile devices are not scrolling down as much to to the ads and to the organic results. So they are, but not as much. A lot of people are deciding between the maps, looking at the reviews, which we'll talk about in a minute here, and making a decision just from that. So pay-per-click in the maps area, another good idea, definitely worth looking into as well. And lastly is retargeting. So retargeting is basically somebody comes to your website, looks around, and doesn't engage. So they don't pick up the phone, or they don't fill out your contact form, or whatever it is you want them to do next. They're not doing that, but they looked around on your site for, let's call it 30 seconds or a minute or whatever number you want to put to it, right? Or anybody who came to your website, you could do that too. These people could be then retargeted or shown ads related to you and your business on other platforms, Google, YouTube, Facebook, and then all of their properties, Messenger, FaceTime, all these different things. There are all kinds of places that you can then show your ads to. If you're an e-commerce type situation, you can actually load your entire catalog to something like Facebook. And if somebody looks at your blue widgets, then your blue widgets could show up in a Facebook ad the next day and kind of like follow them around. I'm sure you've seen this with Amazon. Zappos is really good at it, some of these sites, but retargeting, super cheap and very effective in a lot of cases. So definitely worth doing. And we'll talk a little bit more later on about your assurance campaign. There's a really cool thing you can do with retargeting to help generate more leads as well. So, all right, I'm going to check. If you have any questions, put those into the chat, and I will make sure to watch that and let me know, and I will get to those questions at the end for sure. So, okay, next is SEO. So obviously my favorite strategy. This is a long-term strategy, and definitely something that is not going to help you in the next couple of weeks if you haven't been doing it already. But as we start to come out of this, whether that's 3 weeks from now, 8 weeks from now, 3 months from now, gosh, I hope not. But as we start to come out of this, if you're building that foundation now, when we do and that pent up demand starts to relieve itself, you can be in a fantastic position to take advantage of that. So there's a couple of different things that I wanted to talk about related to this. First of all, I've mentioned before, if you've been on any of my other training sessions before, a product called Screaming Frog. And this is a software that you can download for free. Just go to Google and type in Screaming Frog. There aren't that many Screaming Frogs out there, so it should be pretty easy to find. But this software, you can then plug in your website, and what it'll do is it'll crawl your website, and then it'll output a list of titles, descriptions, headlines for each page. And then you can use that information to say, okay, this is obviously wrong. Our homepage doesn't say, the title isn't forklift rental in St. Louis or something like that. It says home, or it just has our brand. So this is the kind of information you can get from this, and every page should have its own title. I'm not going to get into SEO as teaching, but there are some basic things you could do during this downtime to pull that information in, see what your website is showing for different titles and things, and start to work on those as you have time. Screaming Frog is what that's called. It has a free version that'll let you, I think, crawl up to 500 pages. And if you have a fairly large website, an e-commerce site, for instance, there is a paid version. You may or may not need that. Even the 500 pages worth of crawling is probably going to keep you busy for a while, right? So, okay, next, reviews. This is a good time to be reaching out to past clients and asking them to review your business. Google My Business has put some stipulations on that at the moment, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but you can still actively be asking for reviews, and you should be asking for reviews. Email them a link to your Google and your Facebook and your Yelp pages and ask for a review. There are a lot of different platforms where you can get these reviews, and definitely worth doing. Going back to the 3-pack of results and the fact that mobile users are looking at them a lot. I've seen some data recently where the number of reviews directly influences the person clicking on that result, even if you're not in the number one spot. So if there's three businesses that are listed, the first guy has 10 reviews, the second guy has 35, the third guy has 8. The guy in the middle with 35 reviews is more likely to get the clicks than the other two guys. So having those reviews, getting those reviews in place, definitely worth your time at this point. If you're closed down, if you're temporarily closed, or you're on a very limited work schedule at the moment, I mean, you could use that to your advantage from a email standpoint. Say, hey, you know, we're a small business. We use reviews to help us survive. We'd love it if you could, you know, leave us a review at this particular point. One thing, don't incentivize the reviews. That is against Google's terms of service. So don't say, you know, I'll give you $25 if you leave us a review. Don't do that. Reviews are often overlooked, but very, very powerful. I also want to mention content before I move on from SEO. Good time to start putting your thoughts down on paper, if you will. Record your voice, type into a Word doc, whatever it happens to be. Start to consider adding pieces of content to your site. And if you have the call tracking in place, go back and listen to some of those calls, see what people are talking about. If you think about it and you get a lot of the same questions over and over, start putting pieces of content together about that. And I do want to mention, I mentioned a little bit earlier, but going into your website and just switching up some words here and there really doesn't help at all. If anything, it confuses the search engines more than it helps you. So what you really want to be doing is consistently adding content to your site. Consistently, every time Google comes and indexes your site, they find another piece of information, or they find 2 or 3 new blog posts. That is the best scenario when it comes to creating content. So build pieces of content that are, you know, that have value, that people can look at, that it might solve their problem or point them in the right direction. The more value that you can provide, the better off your website's going to be, you know, and let that leak over onto your Facebook page, your LinkedIn profile, those sort of things as well. All right, next, website forms. So I'm talking specifically about contact us form, set an appointment form, something like that. The trick with these is the longer the form, the less likely people are to fill it out. So you've got a little bit of a game to play, right? You might just want name, email, phone number, and, you know, maybe a block that says, what do you want? You know, what are your, I should probably say it a little bit nicer, but, you know, what are your comments? What are you looking for? How can we help you? That kind of thing. But in these strange times, you could do a couple other things, especially if you're closed right now, where you could say, when would you like to have this project completed? Are there any additional steps that you would like us to take? And of course, that might be around cleanliness, or, you know, if it's an in-home visit or something like that. Would you like us to, how would you like to be contacted? Would you like us to call? Would you like us to email? Would you like us to FaceTime or some sort of virtual sales scenario? Messenger, email, lots of ways that you could contact people. And people like this opportunity to engage with your business quicker, faster, and in real time, which is great. So now I'm going to jump ahead a little bit because I've mentioned this a couple times. There's what we're going to talk about called your assurance campaign, and that's assurance, not insurance. But one of the things that you can do is when somebody fills out a contact us form on your site, make sure that that thank you page engages them in some way. Hey, thanks for filling out the form. We are definitely being very careful with the current situation. We are not taking, we're not going in anyone's home or bringing any retail into the office or whatever it happens to be until April 15th, you know, but in the meantime, we will get back to you, blah, blah, blah. Or, you know, just make sure that you kind of tackle it head on, and that the customer is assured of their safety and assured that they made the right decision. They filled out the form. They gave you basically some value of theirs, which is their phone number, their email address. They like to feel that that was something that they did positively. So I would definitely consider doing something like that. So we'll talk a little bit more about the assurance campaign here in a couple of minutes. Last thing I want to talk about is the calls to action on your site. This is a good time to look at your website and make sure that no matter where you're at on your website, at any point, that somebody has a way to contact you. So one of the best things to do, and that you've got to do today if you haven't already, that is to have your phone number in the header and the footer. And secondly, most websites nowadays have what we call a sticky navigation. As you scroll through the site, the navigation sticks at the top. As you scroll down, it's still up there. So yeah, your main navigation. I would definitely have your phone number big and bold in that area too at all times. So then no matter where they're at on your site, they can at any point say, okay, I'm ready to engage with this company. Secondly, I would look into what kind of buttons you can put on your site or something. And basically what I like to call this is the obvious next step. What is the obvious next step? So go to some random page on your website, just click through 3 or 4 times, scroll halfway down, and then tell yourself, okay, do I know, looking at what I'm looking at right now, what my obvious next step is? It could just be the phone number in the header, but I would do something else. I would put an orange button there that says set up an appointment, contact us now, download our guide, download our thing, sign up for our newsletter, something like that. Have, no matter where you're at on a site, have a call to action so that people know what their obvious next step is. That'll keep you busy for a while, right? That one will probably keep you going. So, and lastly, make sure that all your forms, make sure everything's working on your site. Good time to just do an overview of your site, click some forms, fill them out, make sure you get the notification. Make sure that if you don't fill out all the fields, that something comes back and lets you know that, and that it's obvious. People could be abandoning your forms because there's something they didn't fill out, but it doesn't make it obvious that they missed that thing, and it just sits there and they don't know what to do. So go through your site, look at those things. Just make sure everything's working. Make sure your buttons are working. Make sure your content is coming up when they click on it. All right. All right. Sales challenges. In a don't touch me world, sales have definitely taken a turn towards online now more than ever. Really, people are unable and or unwilling to go out shopping, so you need to bring the sale to them. A couple different ways you can do that. If you have an e-commerce site, you've already got that built, so you've kind of built that foundation. If you don't have an e-commerce site and you've been thinking about it, good time to start thinking about it. The best time to start thinking about it was 6 months ago. The second best time is right now. Get it started. But some good ideas. If you don't have that, or maybe you're in a retail situation, or you just go to people's homes, or you come to them, something like that. You're going to have to do something a little bit different. And things that come to my mind is FaceTime or Zoom. Zoom stock is through the roof right now, because all of a sudden everybody needs this virtual world, this virtual sales environment, and some really cool things you can do with face-to-face. I would not worry so much about not being as professional as you were being 3 weeks ago. Everybody's in the same boat, right? Everybody understands we're all working from home. We're a little bit locked down. So if they see the cat walk across the keyboard, or the kids are yelling in the background, obviously being in an office, the best you can buffer yourself from that. But people are not, I don't think people are going to not do business with you because of these less than ideal situations, circumstances that we're in at the moment. So definitely consider some virtual options, and that being FaceTime, Zoom, things of that sort. Secondly, demo videos. This is a great time to do some demo videos of some of your products and to show how it works, the different options, things like that. What a great scenario, situation where you can do some of this stuff. And this goes back to content that you're creating. Put these videos on your website on these particular product or service pages, so you can kind of get a double whammy from that. You can also upload a demo video to a service like rev.com, and pull that sales pitch you just did into a text version and post that on your site. So some really cool things you can do with demo videos. Upload them to YouTube. YouTube is, by the way, the #2 search engine, happens to be owned by our friend Google. And so people are consuming YouTube at an insane rate right now with sitting at home looking for something to do, right? YouTube is on most smart TVs now. So it's definitely an opportunity for you to do some things that go up in that area as well. Online scheduling, appointment forms. This is another good way, a good opportunity to look at some of these. We use Calendly, CALENDLY.com. The nice thing about that is you can tell Calendly, we can't take any appointments until April 22nd, but, tie that to a Google Calendar. And, after that date, we have appointments open. We have opportunities, so you can schedule those people. Or if you just need to start with a phone call or something like that, you can start scheduling people right away. You can make 15-minute, 31-hour blocks, whatever you need. But get that onto your site so that people can schedule with you a time to do some of these virtual sales opportunities, right? I definitely like Calendly, but there are a lot of others. Another thing, shock and awe box. So this is something really cool that maybe you haven't thought of, but we're doing this for one of our companies here. Basically, if we get a sales lead and it sounds fairly promising, and maybe even if it doesn't, we are sending a box in the physical mail to that particular person. And this box has, in our case, a couple local munchies, locally made chips, cookies. Don't really do any liquids just because it's not a great idea. But a couple local things, and then we'll put in there a coffee mug that's branded. We'll put in there a notepad that has our logo at the top, and then we'll put in, of course, some sort of a catalog, a flyer, a coupon, even a thumb drive with some of those demo videos would be awesome. A little thumb drive, you can get those cheap on Amazon. Put that on there, maybe some before and after pictures if you have that kind of situation. Lots of opportunity there. And there is nothing better than somebody having a sales call with you and you're not sure how it's going. Drop that box in the mail. They get that a couple days later and they're like, wow, this business is crazy cool. To go even a step further, you could get some branded boxes. They're not too expensive. The ones that we have, I think cost us around $4 each for the box. It has our logo, it has our website on it. But what a presentation! As soon as it shows up, they know who it's from. They can't wait to open it, see what they get, what they got in there. There's also a website called 3dmailresults.com, which has some pretty cool stuff in there when it comes to different ideas. We bought some little bags of shredded money from them, and we'll put that in the box with a little note that says, are you shredding money when it comes to marketing? Something kind of cheesy like that, but it works. It gets their attention. It's really different. If they're calling 3 or 4 different people, this is going to help you stand out by far. So, all right. Last, and this is cold calling. Well, not last, but cold calling. This is a good time to start doing some cold calling. We have actually just hired a guy to do some cold calling for us. And here's a couple ideas of things you can do with that time. By the way, cold calling is not that expensive. It's not nearly as expensive as you expect it to be. But if you have a good plan in place and you know what you're going to do before when you set up this campaign, it can generate some big time leads for you. So here are a couple ideas. Call your past customers and offer them some sort of a loyalty discount. That's a good idea there. Get a list of local businesses, which you can find online fairly easily, and reach out to them and ask them if they're doing any remodeling while they're closed. If you are in that kind of situation, call past customers to ask for reviews, or do a survey about your past experience or their past experience with your business, or a survey about a new product you're thinking about offering. Something like that is a great way to do it. You can put together some sort of a webinar or a product demo, and then have a cold calling company reach out and get people to sign up for the webinar. So I've done that in the past, and it works very well. Also gets a lot of people that are thinking about it. If nothing else, it builds your email list, which is a very good thing. People are raising their hands and say, yes, I'd like to find out more about that. So, and then lastly, actually doing a sale. And by that, I mean a discount, having a sale might be a good way to just keep the revenue flowing, or offer something additional of value to keep the scales kind of tipped in your favor. There might be something you can throw in that doesn't cost you a ton more money, but really bumps the value of the engagement with the customers. So there are some ways to do that as well. So, all right. Discounts, gift card, upsells, or no, yeah, if you have a way to do upsells, that is good to offer a future gift card at a discounted price. Restaurants have been doing this for a while. If you buy a $50 gift card, we'll give you 10% off, or those kind of things. So, all right. Google My Business. I want to make sure that we talk about this because Google has made some very, very recent COVID-related changes, and I want to make sure you guys know about them and that you can take advantage of it. This is an email I got yesterday from Google My Business. Have your hours changed? What's going on? This is an opportunity to get in there and update some of this information. So first of all, go to google.com/business. Make sure that your business is claimed. And second of all, use this as an opportunity to update some things. So first of all, update your hours, or set it to temporarily closed. That is a very new option, which is COVID related, obviously. If you do go to google.com/business and you don't have your listing, you've never set one up, they are giving priority to new listings. So good time to get your business claimed, add some information, and you will get priority. So at least you can start to show up. And by the way, this profile is what comes up in that 3-pack we were talking about earlier on. This is that thing. So very important to traffic for your website, calling, phone numbers, that kind of stuff. If you do have a listing, good time to sanitize it. Get in there, click on that info button, and make sure that you're in the right categories. Make sure that your hours are listed correctly. Make sure that your services are listed. And all of these different things, your description is written well. If it's really short, add to it. If you don't have any pictures, upload some pictures. Good time to go through and do some of this stuff. I did mention earlier on that new reviews are currently not being published. They are obviously accepting them, and they're going into their database and all that good stuff. They're just not showing up on the profile, mostly because Google doesn't have the staff right now to go through that stuff, and they really kind of prioritized specific areas of this product, if you will, in what they're going to be doing. So, so do expect some delays related to that. Okay. All right. If you do have a scenario where you need to go into a client's home, or if they're coming to you, like I said, this may not be the case right now. Pretty much everybody's on lockdown. But in the next coming weeks, as maybe things start to hopefully get a little bit more lenient, we can go out, we can start to do business as usual. We want to have some ideas here. So one thing you can do is have a pre-entrance checklist, And this checklist could, have a list of things that you need to do. So you need to make sure you wash your hands or sanitize your hands, put on some booties, wear a mask, take your temperature, put on gloves, wipe down your tools with Clorox wipes, things like that. Don't shake the client's hand. These kind of things. Having that list, a checklist, and then handing that to the client is, fairly, that's impressive, right? Wow, look, they're really taking all these steps ahead of time. And as you start to build out this assurance campaign, there are some really cool things that you can do to really impress the clients. So have a video on your thank you page. So after they fill out the form that says, I need more information, or contact us, or whatever it happens to be, a thank you video on that page after they fill that out. Thank you for the opportunity to do business with you. Here's the things that we're doing to make sure you're safe, that kind of stuff. That video can be very impactful on that thank you page. You can also put that video on retargeting. So I mentioned retargeting earlier. What about somebody that comes to your website and doesn't fill out a form? Maybe that's going through their mind, that they're not sure if your business is the one. But then the next day they see a video from you on Facebook about how you really take care of your clients. You guarantee their safety, all this kind of stuff. So this is a good time to mention redcanoemedia.com/COVID. I do have a couple scripts out there related to creating these videos, email related video or email related content that you can put on your site, things of that sort. So this, talking about website notice here, having a notice on your website that basically takes on the COVID thing right from the start. Here's what we're doing. Here's our current situation. Here's how we're handling it. Having that on your site is great. One thing I will say is don't have or consider not having the COVID video right on your homepage. And the reason I say that is because if somebody types in plumber Memphis, they come to your site and the first thing that they get is basically this negative video. Maybe it's a positive video, but it still comes across immediately as negative in their mind. Here's some things that we're doing about this bad thing, right? Versus adding a link to your main navigation that says your safety or COVID or something like that, where they have to actively click on that link. Now it becomes a more positive situation because they actively clicked on it. They're looking at that information and, oh, wow, these guys really are doing something about this. Okay. So I think that's a great way to handle the notice on your site. Post those same notices on your social media if you feel like that's something you could do. And then on visit day, send an email reminder if you can. Hey, here's the precautions we're taking, that kind of stuff. Obviously a follow-up call afterwards to make sure everything was good and everything went safe and everything went as planned would be great as well. So there's some different ideas for that. Other ideas related to customer interaction, curbside service. We're seeing some restaurants that are staying open doing this. Seen that before. Time to start thinking about e-commerce. If you haven't already been thinking about it, this is a good time to get that process started. We don't know how long this is going to last, but my wife was searching on Amazon, an hour ago looking for stuff. So having these pieces in place could be enough revenue to keep you going until we can get back to where we want to be, right? And then delivery for a free, delivery for a fee, but could also be free if you want. And, I didn't do that on purpose, but I do love the play on words there. I didn't mean to do that. Delivery for a fee, right, is another option. So, all right, let's switch gears and talk a little bit about getting paid. Now, one of the things that I can't really cover is getting people to pay you for projects that are kind of floating around out there right now. You can't really call them and say, I'm sorry, we can't finish this project or deliver this thing to you, but we'd still like to charge you for it. So that's gonna be a little bit rough, so there's not a lot you can do there, but there are some things that you can implement right now going forward that will help your business be in a better position down the road. So the first one is to get the customer's credit card at the time of purchase. And by that, I physically mean get a credit card number from them. Stop taking checks. Checks are great, but chasing down that second half, if you have that kind of situation, really sucks. And with the current environment, you don't want to be in that situation. If you're offering some sort of a 50-50 plan or something like that, you have to have their credit card. It's the only way to go about it. By the way, on redcanoemedia.com/COVID, I have put a link to a credit card authorization form and an ACH authorization form, which I'll talk about here in a second. But both of those are available out there for free. Stick your logo on there, give that particular form to them, and it kind of helps you lock in the payment. You're more likely to get the payment that way. Also, I'll offer an upfront discount if paid in full. If you're in a situation where you deliver something down the road, which most of us probably are in some way, offering a discount up front for a full payment is a great way to keep revenue going. And you'd be surprised how many people take advantage of this upfront payment option. We offer 7% usually if paid in full, and a lot of clients take that option. First of all, people like to save money, right? And it gets the revenue in for us, makes delivering the product a lot easier. There's no chasing them for the second half, which is nice. Offer a discount for ACH. So not a lot of people know about this ACH option, which is another way to transfer money. And I'm no expert on banking and stuff like that, but I do know that you can run ACH payments from one account to another. And if you look at that ACH authorization form, you'll see that it asks for the client's banking number and authorizes you to take this X amount of dollars out of it at this particular time. But the cost is significantly different from credit card. So credit card, we're going to pay what, 3% plus 2.9% plus 30 cents, I think is what PayPal says, or something like that. So we're in that 3% range if we take a credit card. ACH, on the other hand, costs pennies to do. I mean, 30 cents might be crazy amount to pay for an ACH transfer. And it's just a transfer from one bank account to the other. So definitely worth looking into ACH. Here's the cool thing. If you are usually taking credit cards, then that means you're taking a 3% hit on the final price. What you could do is say, you know what, if you want to pay us via ACH, we will knock off 1.5% or 1% off of the other, if they're doing the upfront, then offer them another 1% discount if they do ACH. Because here's the thing, you're going to pay 3% on the credit card. If you can give them a % discount, you're still making an additional 2% off of that because you're not running it through a credit card. So there are some really creative ways that you can do that. And of course, people love discounts, right? So anyway, that is kind of a different idea, different ways to get paid. And hopefully that helps you out a little bit. I am going to go visit the questions here in a couple of minutes. I see some questions coming through. If you have a question about anything I've gone over, please post that into the chat. I'm going to make sure that I get everybody's question answered. This is, by the way, an unprecedented time to take advantage of marketing. We've got clients that have called us that want to slow down, and they're pulling back their ads or they're stopping all their ads. And we've got other clients who are like, you know what, hammer down, let's double everything. So they see the opportunity here. I saw some numbers yesterday evening, saying that Facebook ad inventory and prices to run ads on that platform are down 35%. People are pulling their ads, and that makes everything cheaper. It means your ad could potentially show up more often. So everybody that's pulling back, there is an equal opportunity to really take advantage of this market. So I definitely encourage you to consider that. There are people they're taking their foot off the gas. Hopefully that's not you, and hopefully that is a competitor, but they are doing it. We're getting those calls. There are people taking their foot off the gas, and this is leaving an opportunity open for somebody to sneak in there and overtake the top spot. So definitely worth looking into. And of course, we all know about idle hands, right? Idle hands doesn't get anything done. Make sure that you're taking this time to invest and really get into your site, get some things done, and really kind of build things up. Definitely, obviously, follow some of the things we talked about. We have a ton of training out there. I am going to send this replay out to everybody, so if you missed anything, you can go back and do that. Obviously, consider us if you need some help with any of this. We'd love the opportunity to work with you. And if you are a client of ours currently, and there's something in here that we talked about, we will implement that free of charge. It's not going to be counted against your account in any way. I want to make sure that that's clear and out there. We want to help you guys succeed as well. So, all right, so let's get over to some of the questions real quick. You can download everything that I talked about at redcanoemedia.com/COVID, which is fancy little website there. And I've got most links to most everything that I mentioned there today. And then lastly, for your marketing strategy, get an SEO strategy or keep your SEO strategy running. If you can put some more money into it, and I'm not just saying that because that's what we do, because this is the time to do it. This is, like if it was the stock market, this is the time to invest, right? That's what they're saying. This is the opportunity, because we're getting those calls where people are taking their foot off the gas. Take advantage of it. Max out that pay-per-click campaign. If you thought about running some ads or some retargeting or getting into that map section, fantastic time to do it. Max out your Google My Business listing, Google Local Services, get that listing 100%. Make sure that everything is optimized the way you want it. Implement your assurance campaign. Start to put that together and just make people feel say that they're going to be in a safe situation when they do business with you. Maybe it's not today, maybe it's not tomorrow, maybe it's in 2 or 3 weeks, but get those things in place to keep those people happy. Consider the shock and awe box. I love that idea. It works so well. Post updates on your social media and email daily. I wouldn't say email everybody daily, but definitely update your social media, keep them engaged, stay top of mind for your potential clients. Email, do build an email list if you don't have one already, and start to reach out to them and just let them know that you're here. Let them know that you're taking appointments, whatever your situation is. Reach out. Communication with clients or with customers at this particular point is huge. If you're quiet, there's the, what is that term? Implied indifference, I think, right? If you're not reaching out to them, they assume you don't really care, so definitely stay top of mind the best you can. Update your hours on your website, on your Google My Business listing. Make sure that you do that. And lastly, we're here to serve you. If there's anything you need help with, let me know. We're going to get to the questions, so don't jump off on me, but I do want to let you know we're here to serve you. If you want to set up a time to chat, you can go to redcanoemedia.com/strategy, and we can put some ideas together, talk about anything we talked about today. But want to let you know that during this craziness, we've got an opportunity here. So, all right, so let me go back and look at the questions. So let me make sure I don't miss any. Peggy, can I have more than one Google Voice phone number? You cannot. So Google Voice, I mentioned CallRail earlier. Google.com/voice, you can get a phone number from them as well. You can get one phone number from them. You could use that as your call tracking number. That is an option, but you can only get one per Google login. So, I mean, okay, you have multiple Google logins, I guess you could get multiple phone numbers. I would prefer, quite honestly, just to have CallRail and do it that way, because you can get all your dashboard stuff on one screen, right? You're not logging in, logging out, bouncing around. That's a little crazy. but Google Voice is a good option. Aaron, what do you use to do that? Automated voicemail thanking people for signing up. Oh, so you got my voicemail. That's good. So that is slybroadcast.com. And what I do is I create a generic voicemail. Thanks for signing up for my webinar. And I keep it fairly generic because then I can use it over and over again. And then when somebody signs up, it triggers a Zapier or a Zap, which then starts a campaign in Sly Broadcast. If you would like a link to that, I'll send you my affiliate link. So I think you can get 100 free credits or something like that. But yeah, pretty cool little thing. And like I said, you can trigger it on certain events, in this case, a webinar sign up, something like that. So Angela, invest in a good stamp and stamp the boxes. You can get boxes of various sizes from Walmart for less than $1 each. Yes, that's a great way to do it. Stamp that's a great way to do it. On the low dollar item. We used a service called U Printing, the letter U, printing.com. I think our boxes were $4 and change each, but they're white. And then they have our logo on the side. It's really cool, really obvious. It was worth it. We basically invested $1,000 into what we're calling our shock and awe campaign. And that includes everything that we're putting inside of the box, and that. And then we're actively sending those out, and people just love them. They're fine. They're fantastic. So, but the boxes at Walmart, another fantastic idea. Get a stamp. You can get stamps a lot of places. I think Vistaprint probably has some stamps you can do. Aaron, can you share the name of your cold call guy? Yes. The website is Business Connections Consulting, BUSCONCON.com. Kind of weird, buscon.com. But his name is John Ayers, Eyres. He is fantastic, and he's very personable. Does some great stuff. He's been doing cold calls for years, and we've hired him to do some for us as well. So. All right, let's see what else. Mary says, thanks, Will. Great and helpful info. You're welcome, Mary. Kevin, what about changing formats from Magento to WordPress? So yes, we're seeing this a lot in the last couple of years. Magento is an e-commerce platform that has become, I guess you could call it, bloated. Way too big, huge learning curve, versus something like WordPress, which you can use WooCommerce, which is a free plugin that you can add, lets you do a ton of things around attributes and sizes and colors and shapes and all the different things you need. And it also can let you do some of these different triggers that I was talking about as well. So definitely something worth considering. And Kevin, if you want to chat more about that, I'd be happy to do so. Aaron says, I love John. So John, or Aaron, about John Ayers. John is fantastic. He's got the personality. He's a great cold call person. So I will, I think it might already be on the COVID page, but if it isn't, I will link that there as well. So all right, I don't see any other questions. Let me check one other place. Let's see what else. Here we go. What do you post on social media so you don't look heartless and insensitive to the current situation? I like that. Posting projects, even if it's office or something like that, seems rather self-serving. Yeah. I don't know. I kind of sort of disagree. I think people are looking for, if you're in home services or something like that, people are looking for that kind of stuff right now. They're stuck at home. They're staring out the window. They're staring at the window. They're staring at the couch, whatever it happens to be. I think it's a good time to just stay top of mind with them, really. And it's not about being self-serving. It's just about reminding them that you're there. Obviously, writing some good value-related articles and sharing those as well is another way to get people back to your website, which then gets them into your retargeting program. So there are some other good things you can do with social media besides just pictures of projects, things like that. So also a good place to put your product demos as well. So how to handle the Google My Business shutdown because of the virus. Posts are getting rejected, reviews can meet up, but they won't show up until after they have the staff review. Yeah, we talked about most of that in it already today. Definitely worth asking for reviews still. They just won't show up in your profile right now, but there are a lot of things you can still optimize in your profile that is getting priority. So definitely look at that, google.com/business. Last question, I don't see any other ones coming in. How should a solopreneur or really small business send an email to clients? A COVID-19 policy seems overkill. Definitely would agree with that. How many of you got today already? How many did you get yesterday? How many did you delete already today? Yeah, I wouldn't go that route. I would definitely put it on the website just as more of your assurance campaign. And I would use email outreach more along the lines of product demo. If you're running a special, if you're just informing clients that, we're closed for the next 2 weeks, but you can still talk to somebody. All of these options would be good for an email campaign. So hopefully that helps you out. I really do appreciate everybody that jumped on today. We had a very nice crowd. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me. Let's see. Oh, I got one more. Todd. Great. What do we need to do to implement some of this on our site? Oh, okay. We can talk about that. We are building Todd's website right now. So yeah, we can talk about some of these things for sure. I appreciate that. So thank you very much for jumping on today. If you need anything, reach out to me. redcanomedia.com/strategy is a good place to set up a discovery call. We can talk about some things, but really do appreciate you guys taking the time out today to jump on, and hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Take care, everybody. See ya.